out the roof because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth because I'm happy. Clap along.
Welcome to the Jenerosity Show, inspiring you to give, serve, and love your way to a happier and healthier life. I'm your host, Jennifer Evans, and I am so excited. Welcome. This is my first show, and it feels surreal because it's been a dream of mine since I was really young, actually, to be in front of the camera and to be able to express myself and teach and hopefully make an impact to others. And I was thinking back that it started, I remember in junior high school, there was a contest and voting, like, most likely to, be president and all those different things. And I remember there was one that said most likely to be a TV host. And I asked all my friends to vote for that for me. And I won, but it was because I wanted everyone to vote. So it was like, okay, that's what I wanted to do. And then I went to the Walter Cronkite School, to go into broadcasting in college. And I ended up getting scared and going into public relations. So, but I don't think there's any coincidences because I've gotten so much life experience, being able to serve and travel the world, doing so with Mrs. Tani Austin, who's our first guest of the show. I can't wait to bring her on in a little bit. She is a global philanthropist. I mean, if you look up servant leadership in the dictionary, it should be a picture of her and her husband, Bill. So she is a, humanitarian, a boss, a mentor, a mother, a grandmother. She does it all. So I can't wait to bring her on. She's actually live in Kenya at a hearing mission with Bill and the team there, serving hundreds of patients over, this Thanksgiving weekend, while most of us are stuffing ourselves and watching football, they're serving overseas, which they do all the time. So I'm going to bring her on in just a minute, but I want to, just tell a little bit about me and why I launched the show and what the intentions are for the show. So really, I'm a humanitarian. I'm here to serve. And that continues to change as I grow. I'm a speaker. I'm a social entrepreneur. There's so many different titles these days, but I'm in transition right now. And I just moved to Los Angeles and I started taking acting classes. So I'm going for my dreams now. And, so I'm a work in progress, like a lot of people. And I started the show because I love giving back. That was my purpose in life. When I was 25, I realized, hi, Dora. Hi, Josephine. We've got Dora from Mexico and Josephine from Malaysia and Rachel Cobb. They all are involved with Starkey Hearing Foundation. I'm so nervous that I couldn't even look at who's on the screen. I'm trying to take a breath, right? So, I started this show because I want to be able to highlight the good work other people are doing around the world and ultimately support them through the Jenerosity Foundation, which I'm working on. And there's going to be an opportunity for people to get involved in a giving circle that supports, our work that we're doing in Colombia and other nonprofits that are doing great work around the world. So that's why I started this show. I want to inspire people to give more because the more that we give, truly, the more that we receive. And I've learned that through even tithing this past year and just working with different people, the blessings it brings to you, the joy, the fulfillment that you have in your life. And even, it can be, once you get a hit of it, it can be addicting, right? So I want to inspire people to be generous. So that's really about me and the intentions of the show. And now I'm so excited to talk a little bit and bring on our first guest. Her name is Mrs. Tani Austin. She's the co-founder of Starkey Hearing Foundation and the chief philanthropic officer of Starkey Hearing Technologies. She's been in the hearing healthcare field for over 35 years. She had her own her own private practice, hearing practice in Illinois. That's where she got into kind of doing community healthcare, actually, because she, worked with some people, people she fit on the farm. And, when she met Bill Austin, and they've been together for 28 years, and they've just joined forces, and together They're just exceptional. They have the largest hearing healthcare nonprofit in the world. And Tani's really led the development of their sustainable global program called the WFA. So WFA stands for William Franklin Austin, which is Bill Austin, her husband, and the man who created their fitting method, which is, helping so many thousands of people around the world each year that are in need. And Tani's expertise really helps build that sustainable program that's now operating in over 60 countries around the world. So Tani and her husband Bill are in Kenya on Thanksgiving, and it's Saturday morning at 8 o'clock there. And so they are preparing, to fit hundreds of patients today. So I just am so excited to welcome, Mrs. Austin. She's one of the greatest, she's the greatest mentor of my life, and seriously doing more work than any, I think, humanitarian around the world. I could say that, because I see her. So she's directing traffic right now at the mission. I'm going to bring her in, Tani Austin. Oh, good morning, Tani.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're doing wonderful. We're just kind of getting set up here in Kisumu, Kenya.
Okay, beautiful. Is this your first mission day in that city?
Yes. We were in Nairobi and Machakos over Thanksgiving, and just got to Kisumu last night and starting bright and early this morning.
Oh, that's great. Are you having one mission day there today?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
We actually fly out tonight and go back to Nairobi.
Oh, so my God.
500 patients here today.
Woo, wow, that's amazing. I remember those days when we had the fly, fit, and fly, or fit, fly, fit, and it means we
exactly.
And then plane and then fit somewhere else. So
exactly.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that I had the pleasure of working for you for 5 years and supporting you in the field. And so it's so great to see you out there. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about you and your background so they can get to know you?
Yes, I Tani Austin, and I've been in the hearing aid industry since 1980, as you said. Instead of saying I'm old, I think I have a lot of experience.
Yes.
So, especially with hearing aids, it takes experience. It's something that you learn over many years. My mother has been in the hearing aid industry 2 years longer than my husband, Bill Austin. She, Pat Manhart, she has been in the business 57 years. Bill has been in the business 55 years.
Woo, yeah.
And so we've got a lot of experience going here, and now then we're sharing it with the world.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So I know, Bill, your husband's vision, So the World May Hear, and he loves to do hearing missions, and he was doing them. You guys started doing them, in the early 2000s?
No, actually, Jen, Bill's been doing this all of his life. When he started he started his business in 1967 in the fruit room in the basement behind the furnace, and just him alone. Wow. So now then, in the business side, Starkey is a world-renowned hearing aid manufacturer with 28, 29 locations around the world. But Bill is, has always been giving, even from the very beginning. The first hearing aid that he helped someone with better hearing, he gave it away because the man didn't have any money. So as he grew his business, he did a Starkey Fund to where anyone could write Starkey Fund on the order form. And if they didn't have the money to pay for a hearing aid, then he would give that hearing aid free if the professional would dispense it free. So then that in 1984 turned into a 501c3 in the United States as Starkey Hearing Foundation in 1984. And I came into the foundation in 2000. So as a volunteer, and really trying to develop his vision for So the World May Hear. So Bill's been doing it a lot longer. I was a child when Bill started his vision of So the World May Hear.
Yeah, that's That's really beautiful. Thanks for sharing about that. When you this just came to me right now. When you came on and around that time, you knew that Bill was always giving everything away, right? And you started realizing, wow, there's all of these like celebrities and politicians, power for people, athletes.
Well, it wasn't just that. I mean, these people would find Bill for better hearing
Mm-hmm.
because he's like Picasso. He understands interfacing
Mm-hmm.
the device with the human being. So these people would track him down,
Mm-hmm.
and the foundation is a separate entity of Starkey. It's a 501c3,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started a fundraiser and helped them develop a fundraiser, which all people do, bringing in entertainment, celebrities, high profile people that are humanitarians, pretty much just what you're doing right now, launching your show,
Mm-hmm.
and is bringing people that are, actually, yes, they're important in their job, they're important in the world, but they're giving back. So
Mm-hmm.
we recognized people that gave back to the world, recognized people that were helping the Starkey Hearing Foundation achieve that goal of So the World May Hear, and that kind of grew into one of the top events in the United
Mm-hmm.
States.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you had sent invitations out to like 7 people and they all responded like to honor them, right? And they all
Yes,
responded, yes. And then
yes, because Bill never liked to bother anybody.
yeah.
He's like, don't bother people, and but I would see how much they cared about
Mhm.
Bill and cared about his vision, and they were at other charities helping them, with their entertainment or
Mhm.
personalities, whatever. And so I wrote actually 8 letters, to like
Mhm.
Stan Musial, uh, Buzz Aldrin, Walter Cronkite, all of these very high profile people, and asked them if they would be honored for what they had contributed to the world. And 7 of them answered within 3 days. I was trying to get one.
Yeah.
7 of them answered yes within 3 days. And the only person that couldn't do it was Les Paul,
Mhm.
because he had a standing gig in New York on a Monday night and for 30 years. And he said, if it was any other day, I'd be there. So,
Mhm.
that's how we kind of launched the awareness. It really wasn't so much the money, but it
Mhm.
was the awareness that it brought
Mhm.
to the work, and to truly what hearing means to
Mhm.
people in connecting in their lives. It doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States. It doesn't matter if you're Walter Cronkite. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you're living here in Kasumu or if you're a child in the school. Why, hearing connects people to life. So, it's a beautiful thing. It's not, we give people their hearing back through a device,
Mhm.
through a hearing aid, and but we give them their feelings back.
Mhm.
When you hear, you feel, and when you think about your favorite song, or you think about your mother saying "I love you," or your spouse or your child, you immediately feel it all over your body. So it isn't the piece of plastic that we give back. It is their feelings, it's their connection to life, and it also helps them a step up. We're not giving a
Mhm.
handout, we're giving a hand up in the
Mhm.
world. And whether it's to go to school, get a job, reconnect to the families, reconnect to the community. And
Mhm.
we've figured out, as you were saying in your opening, we've figured out a very simple process and a very community-based process to do that. It's called the WFA community-based model. And we spent Bill does it naturally. He's been doing it for a lifetime. So what I decided to do was to document it, and to be able to teach it, train and educate people on
Mhm.
hearing loss, and hearing aids, and this beautiful process that we do at a
Mhm.
community level.
Yeah, it is. Well, at first, I want to commend you for building your tribe of people and starting the fundraising, because without that piece, you would never be able to do the work that you do. And so,
But,
I.
Jen, one of the things that I wanted to say, and at the very beginning, because Bill had this calling in 1967, and he found his purpose in life very young, very early,
Mhm.
and he's worked on that all of his life. My you know, as I said, my mother was in the hearing aid business. I had my own clinics for 12 years in Southern Illinois. If anybody's from Southern Illinois, hello. And from Kisumu,
Yeah.
Kenya. But I had my own clinics, and it was very community based. So, you know, I couldn't sit in an office in Southern Illinois. I had to go out to the community. I had to go into the farmhouses. I had to go into the community centers, you know, once a week, once a month, because with hearing loss, one of the things that is so interesting about it, it's not life threatening. You know, and there's no blood, there's no pain, and if it's sensory neural, you know, it's invisible. You know, people look healthy, they look strong. There's nothing on them that shows them that they're not receiving that information or getting those sounds of life. So you have to go to them, because it is something that they can put off. It's something that if the hearing aid breaks, they can put it in the drawer. You know, so if I, you know, take like a farmer, you know, I would go out to the farm field. His wife would call me, say, "Oh, it's broken. He's driving me crazy. Can you come out?" I would go to a farmhouse, stand at the fence. You know, the farmer's back and forth on his tractor, you know, until he gets to the fence, gets off the tractor. You know, I look at his hearing aid, fix it. He gets back on the tractor and takes off. And that's truly what has made this so successful, is I did this in my past life. And I knew that, you know, with hearing care, you have to go to them, because that farmer's life runs him. His crops are more important. His livestock's more important. Everything's more important than than his hearing. So he's not going to take the time to go take care of that. And I think that's no different if you're the president of the United States, if you're a farmer. It doesn't matter. Your schedule runs you. So if something's not paining, or if you can put it off, you will. So it's really no different than here in or around the world, in these developing worlds. You know, their life runs them. A woman here in Africa, she carries water, she plows fields, she you know, cooks, takes care of the children, and she's not going to drop everything to go take care of herself. So we come to her, and we've been able to develop a model that will service. It's like a living, breathing body right out to the villages of hearing healthcare. And that's, you know, something that I'm extremely proud of. And, you know, we feel like, you know, this work, and we get up every day to serve. We get up every day to care about other people. And we feel like caring is God's love in action. You know, we don't sit in an office and make telephone calls. We don't sit in a church and worship. Why, we're right out here in the field, walking and talking and following the footsteps of Jesus.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. You know, you guys are truly givers, because not only the work you do, but I want other people to know, like, you give people opportunities, you know, and you've given so many people around the world opportunities. So like myself, I had this calling to serve and travel the world. I had written it out in a notebook, and 2 months later I met you guys, and I ran up to you and said, "Mrs. Austin, it's my dream to travel around the world." And I didn't have any experience, and you believed in me, you gave me a chance.
Well, I think it's intentionalization. You know, I've talked to you so much about your intentions. If you intend to do something, you know, you can accomplish it. And, you know, when someone steps up, curls their toes, you know, and goes for it, you know, it usually happens. 80% of success is showing up. And I honestly believe that.
So yeah, it's beautiful. And you're such a great trainer. You've trained, you know, there's like hundreds of hearing healthcare workers, right, that are employed by Starkey Hearing Foundation, which are helping you, you know, serve people in their communities at the mission, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We have 61 countries, 61 programs, and just like take for instance here in Kenya, one flag, you know, has 47 programs in the country. So it's not just the 61 countries; it's the actual the villages that we're in. So we've successfully been able to find the people that are passionate about getting the healthcare and access to hearing healthcare out to the villages. And I can take you kind of on a little tour if you'd like me to, and then see a fitting of a hearing aid. I know we could talk for talk about each other, but let me just show you a little bit about the work.
Yes, let's do it.
Come on with me.
All right, guys, let's go. We're going into the fitting tent. So this is
Okay,
where.
now this is actually, Jen, this is our patient education tent.
Oh,
And I don't know if you recognize Beatrice over here.
hi, Beatrice.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
I know
we've been
Beatrice.
coming here to Kisumu, Kenya for since 2009, so almost 9 years. Beatrice has been with us since 2012. She's
Hi,
been very
Beatrice.
instrumental. Yeah, and very instrumental in building the program here. So if you can just come up on the other side of the table, I'll just show you. You know, we've started to. Hello, good morning, everybody. Good morning. So
Wow.
we're all anxiously waiting here. So we have the phase one. We explain how we're going to move them through the ear screening, otoscopy, hearing screening, and final control. But we're actually doing phase one and phase two here today. So
Okay.
they're going to actually receive the hearing aid today. We're going to do the screening and identification, and they're going to receive the hearing aid today. And then we will also be doing our aftercare. So these are people that we've already fit in past camps, and then we'll be if they have any kind of problems or anything with their hearing aids, we'll be serving them too. So we'll actually be doing 3 phases here today in one. And we have this gentleman right here this morning. Good morning. Yes, so glad to see you. So he's already wearing a hearing aid, I can see, and it's not quite in right, so we'll be doing a little bit of re-counseling for him. But he's lost this side, so we'll be replacing this side for him. Are you doing well? Oh, I'm so happy. All right. So not only are people receiving new hearing aids, but we're also taking care of the people that already have the hearing aids. Now, it's early in the morning here. We don't really get started till about 10 o'clock. Fully, this whole grounds will be completely filled by 10 o'clock. So with the time zone, it was a little more harder to get the people here. But here's our registration. So people will show up right here to register. And then we have our otoscopy here where they're going to be ear screening and actually cleaning the ears in anybody that has any infections. We'll give medicines. Good morning, guys. And then we have the ear mold. Anybody that's cleared for fitting, we'll go over here and we'll get the ear molds. And there might be some faces over here you recognize, Jen. You can say hi to.
All right, great.
Toki, come here. Jen Evans is here on her new show, Jenerosity.
Hey, Tuki. Tuki from
Madagascar. Come on over, guys. So,
hi,
Marmlet,
guys.
Toto, Ronnie,
Did you guys dance last night for Thanksgiving? You have a Thanksgiving party? Yeah, of course you did.
So a lot of these have actually graduated from Starkey Hearing Institute. It's a institute in Zambia that we're actually doing 11-month program and teaching the hearing healthcare process and being certified. So it's recognized here in about 14 countries, this certification, so they can actually care for the hearing aids and the people's hearing. So thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Okay. So then we'll come right over here. This is the fitting tent. And so we can set up anywhere. You know, if we just have a process, we can set up in a clinic, we can set up in a school. Here in Kisumu, we usually set up in this open field. And there's something very, unintimidating about having an ear camp. People that have put off getting better hearing for, decades will actually come today and say, oh, they're having an ear camp. They don't feel so threatened or like they're sick or old and so they come by the hundreds. The last time we were here was in March, and we did over 700 people. It was almost 800 people in one day, and they just kept coming through the gate. Actually, 1,100 showed up, and we had to register because we worked way into the night. So we've got a beautiful little girl right here that's going to get better hearing today. Hello, sweetheart. So these are, someone that has already been screened. I did pass the hearing screening, which we do the voice test, but they're actually in the tents screening hearing right now. So this little girl has a paper. And there, are you Papa? Hi, nice to meet you. All right. So let's see. Courtney. Is that your name, Courtney? Hi, nice to meet you, Courtney. So
Aw,
we're going to have the hearing aids over here. Yep.
beautiful.
All right, you want to say hi to Jen, Francis?
Hey,
Hi Jen, how are you?
Francis. Good. How are you? It's the
I'm
bill.
fine, you?
Yeah, it's the bill of Africa.
Boy, you know he has done so well. He's actually running the hearing aids and everything and the aftercare,
Yeah.
taking care of them. And I don't know if you saw Dr. Kayatesi.
Hi, Dr.
Hi,
Kaiser.
Jen.
How are you?
So,
Hi.
so she's
Fine,
from
thank you.
Dr. Kayatesi's from Rwanda, ENT audiology. She's ENT surgeon, audiologist from Rwanda. She actually runs the region
Yes.
and the teams now here for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
So here, I don't know if you can see just the little device
yes.
right here. So
Mhm.
we're gonna put this on, Courtney. Okay. And then I just kind of show her the battery. All right. We'll put it on your ear. Okay. All right. And Daddy, I'm gonna have you just come right over here to look at her,
Mhm.
and we'll just see. And you can stand right here and help me. Ba, 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 ba. Hello. Hello. Do
No.
you hear? Huh? Is that good? Yes. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Can you repeat? Say ba, 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 ba. Yeah. Very good.
Oh,
Hello. Hello. So
very
this is what
cute.
this does. So you can see with Courtney, there's nothing wrong with her brain, and these are our mildest hearing aids. So just about 38 dB of gain, and just a little bit brighter. I'll let you do the other ear, Dr. Patesi. Just so it makes the hearing brighter, and she'll be normal. So it would be no different than Dr. Patesi, just putting glasses and seeing better. This just registers with the brain and connects that sound. So you really hear with your brain, not your ears. So there's that little connection that just needs a little bit of boost. So there's nothing wrong, no other challenges with Courtney, other than she just needs a little bit of help on the hearing. So we like to catch the kids as early as possible, but we whether you're Courtney's age or if you're 95, we care about everybody.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention too, if you come over here, Jen, we have Heart for Hearing, Delta Zeta,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
they've been supporting the foundation, for the past, I don't know, almost 8 years, I think. But they've really stepped up and come together as a community. 250,000 women in the United States have come together and are helping us with our hearing programs around the world. So I wanted to do a shout out for Delta Zeta also.
Yeah, I think that's a fabulous example of a great partnership for a sorority with a nonprofit because their mission was hearing. It has been, right? And so,
Speech and hearing, and they didn't really know what to do, but once they connected with us, it was like lighting a match, and it with passion and great energy.
yeah.
They have come together, and now they're going on missions. They're spreading the word and doing really well. So the main thing, like I said before, with intentions is, and intentions with your wealth, the is nobody's taking it with them. And so what are you going to contribute to life? What are you going to leave behind? How are you going to make a difference? Everyone, there's not one person out there that cannot not make a difference. Everyone can make a difference. It doesn't matter if you smile and say good morning to somebody, that might make a difference for them. Or if you open a door and smile. I can't tell you how many, like you coming up from behind in Phoenix, Arizona, and saying, oh, I want to meet you. And we could have said, you know what, we're too busy. No, right? But we turned around, we opened our arms, and we were open to what you wanted to tell us. So kind of receiving all of the time, receiving the energy and what's around you. It's not an accident. It's very purposeful. And if people are paying attention, listening, and being aware instead of looking at your phones. I know we're on the internet right now, but you're not going to find it isolating yourself looking at your phone or your iPad. Look up, look in people's eyes, have conversations. Conversations go every which direction, and when you email or you give information, why you just kind of dump it on someone. So take the time to do that interaction, and it'll lead you to places beyond your dreams.
That's great advice. Thank you. Thank you. No, that's just beautiful. I wanted to ask you, wow, when is the last time, are you showing us something else, or can I ask you a question?
No, I'm good now.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
What is the most generous thing that someone's done for you recently?
Well, I think that one of the most generous things that, and you're going to make me cry now, right? I have to talk about my son and daughter-in-law, Brandon and Stacy Swalich, have allowed our granddaughter to travel with us. And she's 15. She started out a year ago. And she wanted to do these missions with her grandfather before he wasn't doing them anymore. And then she said, if I wait till I graduate, he might not be traveling. And so they allowed her to do online school and travel with, and to have that time with Amelia, and to be able to share this with the next generation has just been a gift beyond anything that I could imagine.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I had the pleasure of going to Africa with you guys in August or September and working with Amelia. And she's so sharp. I cannot believe she's 15.
Well, she just turned 16. She's already spoken twice at the UN on youth
I
leadership.
know.
She is, we're going back to Uganda on December 5th. She's going to speak with the First Lady's youth leadership group there. And she's really empowered, like you're empowered to do this show. She's really empowered to share this at her blessings and what she's learning as she's going around the world. And she has that platform, to be able to do it. So I'm very proud, but that's just another extension of us, right? So life is, it isn't something that you can hold on to. You have to share it and see where it goes. And we may never know, it's the butterfly effect. You may never know what you truly do, but that energy, that light goes on. It's and we have to keep building that light. There's plenty of darkness out there because the news is just hammering on what's wrong. Well, guess what? There's always been things wrong. There's always been floods. There's always been earthquakes. There's always been wars. There's always been conflicts. And the only thing that's ever made any difference is that human perseverance of goodness and pushing the light and caring about each other. We emphasize caring so much. It's such a small word, but Bill says, if you're careful, you're full of care. You're full of love. If you are careless, you care less. You have less care for what you're doing. So we really push things about caring and actually looking up, caring about another human being. And, the other thing I wanted to let people know is, we think we're privileged. And the privileged is just such an interesting word, because what does that mean? We have children in the United States that have everything, and they're killing themselves because they have no soul. They have no meaning in their life. They don't have any direction. And you see little Courtney here, she can be happier than anyone in the U.S. So to think that we're happy because we have things is such a misnomer. It's such a misleading, because things do not make you happy in life. Living life and sharing it, and doing something meaningful, whether it's working at a soup kitchen or everybody has the California fires, which I've been watching from afar, but so many people that I know, and keeping in touch with, have no homes now, have no, so let's come together and do what you can. It doesn't matter what it is. Do something, and connect to that that passion and that energy, just like you've done this with this show. I'm so very proud of you. Thinking of when that young girl, came up from behind us 6 years ago to where you are today, and not even, that you've found yourself yet, but you're still pushing and trying and paving that path. That's all it takes, is to get up every day to make a difference and to do something that is worthwhile.
Ooh, that is. Thank you so much. There's so much there, and thank you so much. I remember when you were encouraging me last month in Africa and saying, you know, you could do it. I wish I could bottle some of my courage for you. But the caring that I've learned since I've been at Starkey is something that I'll always take with me, you know, everywhere I go.
Well, you know, Jen, it's not courage. It's not as much courage as fear, right? Fear is the wall.
Yeah.
And so once you release that and you have no fear, and it's not that you're not fearless or that things don't happen, that you're afraid or whatever, but when you have no fear, when you wake up in the morning and you really and truly know that you're doing the best you can, and that it's not about you. You know, this show isn't about you. It's about connecting people and relaying the message.
Yeah.
You know, the message is so important. We relay the message everywhere we go. You know, we're one team, we're one human family, and no one's world is more important than someone else's world. You know, we all have time, talent, and treasure. What are you going to do with it? Nobody has more time than someone else. You know, we're equal on that. We all have different talents, but we can all use them to our fullest. We all have different treasures, but treasures are not any different. We have people that come here that have given everything to get here, to get better hearing, to maybe get that chance. Have you ever given everything? Can you imagine giving everything you have to maybe step up? So, you know, that you can't quantify everything. So we believe that everyone's time, talent, and treasure are the same, and that how are you going to use it? You know, how are you going to use that that type of wealth every day?
Oh, that's such good advice. Thank you so much. I remember a story in Mexico where a mother gave her cow, right, away to bring 4 children to the
That was
mission.
actually El Salvador.
Okay, El Salvador. Yeah.
Yeah. She sold her cow, and she had 4 teenage children, 1 year apart, and they all had the same hearing loss. And this mother sold her cow and to come to the mission. And Bill found out about it afterwards, and he said, "Quick, go get her." You know, he had $100 bill. He said, "Tell her, you know, to go buy her cow back." We never caught up with her. 5 years later, I get this fax into the foundation because she'd taken a business card, and it was in Spanish, and like, oh my gosh, it's the cow lady. You know, and she was wanting the children had worn their hearing aids for 5 years. They were the strongest that we had, and she wondered if they could have new ones. So we were actually, you know, God works in mysterious ways. We were actually going to El Salvador 3 weeks later, and they brought the 4 children. The mother looked 10 years younger than she had 5 years ago. The kids had graduated from college. They were all professionals. They were, engineers, teachers, farmers, and they had their own families, you know, and this is because they could hear. The mother just was glowing. And you know what was so beautiful was she brought Bill a cow.
Oh, really? Another cow.
She actually brought a cow to the mission site and wanted to give Bill a cow. And that happens quite a bit around the world. We get cows and chickens and calves and little baby ducks and everything, you know, because that's how they can pay you.
I think one time you asked me to carry this like ceramic chicken over the border in Tijuana, and I accidentally broke it. And I felt so bad. It was like this big chicken or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we don't get home with many souvenirs a lot of times, or gifts. You know, it's because we stay on the road, like you said, fit and fly. And my husband is using time efficiently. You know, we're the top volunteers for the Starkey Hearing Foundation, as well as co-founders.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my and I don't know how much time we have, but my how much time we got?
No, we have time. We have another 20 minutes, really. So,
okay, all right. Well,
you know,
I wanted to talk about my call within my call.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, Bill knew early on where he was when he was going to what his purpose in life was, and you know, he prays for direction every day of his life to serve better than he had served the day before, and never asks for anything else. That's the only thing that Bill Austin prays about. And so, as I'm, I felt like a facilitator. I'm a good developer. I'm a good builder. But I was in Calcutta, India, one time over Easter, and they asked, "Do you want to go to Mother Teresa's house?" Well, Bill had fit Mother Teresa for the last 3 years of her life with hearing aids, and I'm like, "Of course, you know." Well, he came back and he said, because we could only go on Friday because we were moving on, and so they said, "Well, Good Friday, the nuns have taken a vow of silence for Holy Week, so don't think it's going to work out." And I went, "Okay." And so then they came back to me and they said that Sister Prima, who was the Mother Superior there, said, "Yes, you can, go ahead and come. We just can't talk to you." So we got there, and it's just like you would imagine it, big wooden doors with the big hinges, almost like medieval. But and it opened up, and there's Sister Prima standing there, beautiful, in this little courtyard, and she said, "Welcome." And I was like, "Wow." I said, "I didn't think you'd be speaking today."
Yeah.
And she says, well, she said, "We had meetings, we prayed about it, and we decided, that you had broken the silence for the children of India. God wouldn't mind if we broke our silence for you today." And
Wow.
I was like, "Oh, how beautiful." So they take us right around into Mother Teresa's tomb, just right into a little room. She's there, and they're caring for us, beautiful candles, marigolds, and such a beautiful sight. I just fell to my knees and crying, and it was like a lightning bolt had hit me. Just the humbleness and the beauty of this servant that had made such a difference in the world, and just really touched me. So that we finished our prayers and our service, and she said, "Would you like to see the museum?" I said, "Okay." So we walk just right across the room, and there's a rope in front of 5 posters, and that was their museum. So she said, "It's closed today because it's Good Friday, but I'm going to open it for you." And she takes the rope down, which was so wonderful. So
Yeah.
I'm reading the posters of Mother Teresa's life, and on the second poster, it talked about the Mother Teresa being on a train in the middle of the night going from Calcutta, and about 2 a.m. in the middle of the night. And God spoke to her and said, "You need to be serving the poorest of poor." And she's like, "No, no, no, no. I'm already in an order. I'm already a nun. I'm already serving the poor." And the message she receives is, "No, you're not serving the poorest of poor. You need to serve the poorest of poor." And so it said right at the bottom, it says that night, Mother Teresa got her call within her call. And it just struck me, that I actually got my call within my call that day at Mother Teresa's, because I knew I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't serving enough. I was expecting Bill to do it. I was on the outside, looking in, but it wasn't me. So that day I decided, that I was going to step up. I was going to start sharing the message. I was going to do more to serve this purpose of so the world may hear. It's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And, that was that changed my life that day. And I released some of my fear, as you are today, starting your own show. The next day will be easier. The next one will be easier. And your competence, your all of the 5 C's that we taught you, your charisma, your enthusiastic interest in others, is all of those start building and becoming who you are.
Yes, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing about your call within your call. And caring is such a part of the culture at Starkey. Even though you showed like the mission is so organized and it runs like a well-organized machine, it comes from the top, from Bill and you, that you give the patient, the attention. Like they're there to serve, and you stay to the last patient. And even though everything's efficient, you spend your time, you look at the patients in the eyes, you greet them. And, like I remember one time we were saying that we were like, representing the United States. And I think the Starkey team does, of how you work hard and you serve others and you treat people. And when you go around, you're a representation of, the US. So I just love that. And, the caring that you teach, yeah, you're right. It's like a butterfly effect that keeps going on and on.
Well, I think if you know that, you're receiving also, it's not what you're giving,
Yeah.
but, when you turn around and you see little Courtney or you see her dad, they're giving us one of the greatest gifts there is, to be able to, share that life. We're sharing life as we go. It's respect for life. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that people are kind of catatonically moving around, thinking, well, what's in it for me? What
Yeah.
do I get? What do I, and boy, if you turn that light the other direction, you receive more than anything you could possibly dream of.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. So I want to ask you a little bit about, because, every, organization that's very successful, even you explained to me this summer when we were talking, like, epic success takes time, and there's hurdles you go through. So I'd love if you could just give a little encouragement or advice to the listeners about, when you're pursuing something new. I called you an innovator, and I call you that because I feel like you saw a need, and you helped create, from Bill's model, a new level of care, of hearing healthcare for the world that could be implemented in other areas too. And so, at the beginning, there was some critics and things like that, and it wasn't always easy. So I'd love if you could kind of share about that and give some advice to people maybe that are starting a new venture.
Well, I think, one of the things you've got to realize is that you only have control over yourself, right? You're not going to control someone else. You're not going to make them do anything. So what do you have control over? How can you make a difference? And, I think that is other people's fear. I think our community-based model, made a lot of the clinical world fear it, because, well, then what are we going to do? What are we going to, and really it doesn't compete with a clinical model at all. It is an entry-level model at the very beginning, and will get people that first step to where their next step is a clinical model. Once they start hearing and they're going, wow, this is better, then they can, like I said, go to school, get a job, and buy their own hearing aid, right? Is really what we're trying to do. We're not trying to be a government. We're not trying to take care of people the rest of their life. We're not saying that we're, these wonderful, magnificent people that are giving this gift. We're saying we're a partnership, whether it's with the government, with, our healthcare workers, the Rotary, the Lions, and Starkey Hearing Foundation. So much of it has to do with fear and what about me? What about me? So whenever I approach anything in a developing way, I think about that. What are they afraid of? What are their obstacles? What am I threatening? So I try to diffuse it and sit at the table, and go have the conversations, because I remember one specifically in Malawi, when a specific entity were trying to sell hearing aids, and for a very cheap price, and they were thinking we were taking all of their people away by the foundation giving the hearing aids to them. And so I actually drove 2.5 hours back in to Lilongwe, Malawi, and sat down and went into their clinic, and I said, let's talk about it. Let's just agree to disagree. I'm not saying your model's wrong, and let's just agree to disagree and live and let live, because we're helping a lot of people. And so get to the table. And I think that's, in the US, things are so polarized right now, and we will never ever be able to solve any issues or move forward if we don't talk about it, right? If we don't sit at the table together and do that democratic process of acknowledging somebody else's thoughts and feelings and beliefs. And we're out here, we have all sorts of religions, all sorts of races, all sorts of genders, all sorts of, that we come across every single day, and we're not here to decide who is right or who is wrong. right? Because we are just here to give and to love and to help someone have a better life. And it's interesting because even you and a lot of people were pushing me towards the women's leadership role, and I don't even define myself as a woman. I don't even think of myself that way, even though I'm a wife, I'm a mother, but I'm a human being, and I've always been able to accomplish what I've set out to do, and I haven't really thought about gender in that aspect. I think that comes from my mother. She was a very single mom, hardworking, and she never thought about that. She was always very, very successful with people. And so I never came at it that direction. And because I think, gender, one of the things that women have that over men is we give birth to 100% of the population, right? So we care about everyone. We care about our daughters and our sons. And how are we going to move them forward in the world together, in a better, more peaceful world? Mothers are the same all over the world. They want food on their table, education for their children, safety in their homes. It doesn't change anywhere you are on the planet. These mothers are trying to have a better life for their families. So I really connect to that. And, I have so many wonderful men that we work with and work just as hard as all of us. So we really believe it's one team. There are no separating factors. And, I think that's another mental process that you can think about, and just seeing someone with their true ability, not trying to define them or judge them or categorize them in one place. So many people that are working with us now, they say, oh, they'll never do that, and I'm like, have you asked them? No. And, one of the things is Dr. Kaitesi moving to Nairobi, and running the teams. I said, oh, she'll never do that. And I'm like, have you asked her? Right.
Yeah,
And,
I'm surprised.
Right. And here she is. She's running the teams, and moved her children to Nairobi. They're loving it. And so, give people a chance. Don't be fearful of what they're going to tell you. Walk in with an open heart, open mind, and the intentions of what you're trying to do. Our intentions is serving the patient. So, if everything starts at the patient and works backwards, you can't be wrong. So, and that's pretty much what happened here in Africa. Is I always, in everything we developed and did, the patient was our first and foremost thought, and everything else, everybody else's agendas, whether it's professional, monetary, kind of fall away. And I have to say, I've learned that from my husband, watching him year after year after year, with this open mind and open heart, and just truly receiving people as they are.
Wow, thank you. That's really beautiful. It's like so much good advice and information. I'm gonna transcribe this and like boom boom.
But I think everybody has their own, like you said, you're gonna do wonderful, people, every single person, Francis, Dr. Kaitesi, all of our healthcare workers have their own stories. You could interview every single one of them and learn something, because we all have our own stories, just as you do.
I know. I remember Dr. Kaitesi when I got to speak to her this summer. I remember, her story, that
Yes.
she was on a different page than you, and you guys had disagreements for a while. And then she actually told me that she realized the impact that she could make by coming on board with Starkey. And now she's like, the one that's monitoring everything. So I go, Tani was brought on the woman who knew
Well,
that.
she has an unbelievable education, ENT surgeon, audiologist, female in Africa, and a leader. And, she was seeking education. I kept missing her by years. I can't even tell you how many years it took me to get her in one place to even talk to her, because she was doing her masters and PhDs, and finally, when we finally sat down and talked, and her heart is a missionary heart, and she only wants to serve. And so now that she's using that education, something that I could never ever do, using that education to further these programs and take them to a place I would never be able to.
That's beautiful. So yeah, you worked so hard to train people, and then brought in people that were even new skills that you didn't have, and now you guys really don't have to be on the missions anymore, right? Like about 5 years ago you were needed, right? It didn't go on without you, but because
It was absolutely, I felt very strongly as co-founder and as the top volunteer, of this foundation, really document, because a lot of nothing was ever written down. So to train and educate people on what we are here. Owen, I want you to see Owen Olinde. So we're talking to Jen.
Hey Jen, how you doing?
Hi Owen, how are you?
Very well.
So he's here, and he's
Yeah.
from this region, Kisumu.
Yeah.
So he's volunteering today, and has had so much, as I said, doing things that I couldn't ever do. He was working with Impact Foundation in Nairobi, and they screen and identify hearing loss when Owen and I first met, and then he saw the resources that Starkey Hearing Foundation, and connected the two foundations. Yeah. So a lot of times I call it Batman and Robin, because we we work so well together. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, I know Owen helped you create the Phase 4 program in Kenya, correct? Where you're actually helping, children with speech and mainstreaming them into schools. So I wanted to ask you about that. So it's good.
Well, Phase 4, and Owen, you can probably say more on that, but I think that's a whole other show. We could even go to the deaf schools sometimes, and that have now turned into regular schools, and blended schools, to where hearing impaired kids are with hearing kids, because they all have something to learn from each other. It isn't about segregating them or separating them. It's about keeping them together, and keeping those hearing aids working during class. So if you want to talk about Phase 4 a little bit.
Phase 4 is pretty much is mainstreaming into life, and this is where we try to get the students and pupils at an early age who have been fit with hearing aids, who benefit from amplification of sound. So what we try to do is at least improve on their communication skills through learning language, through listening, and then of course developing a bit of speech. So what we're doing in Phase 4, we're on a pilot phase here in Kenya, India, and the Philippines. And we're trying to create a program that is scalable within the school culture, and of course within the community. So within the school culture, that pretty much implies that total communication should be the main mode of communication with regards to the schools for the deaf. This is where the students are taught how to use language, and learn how to speak, and of course learn how to communicate with their parents, with their siblings, and of course their fellow students within the schools.
And because of the work that you guys are doing, you're actually changing the culture, right? And the names of the school from School for the Deaf to School for the Hard of Hearing, or something to that, correct?
Right. Well, and so many of the kids just go right into normal classrooms if they haven't had much of a delay. But there is a transition period, and one of the things that I want to say is, there's a lot of opportunities, at being deaf. Also, the signing and everything. We just want to give the kids a choice. Some of the older kids, still have the deaf community, and that's what they're comfortable with. That's okay. Some of them, when they get the hearing, they want to move into the hearing side. So, our Starkey Hearing Foundation and our philosophy is just giving them that choice. It's not one's better than the other, or one's right for each other. It's like, we just feel like everyone should have that choice of hearing,
Great.
or not, or choosing the deaf community.
Well, that's beautiful. You guys are doing such great work. And if people want to give back or get in touch with you, what would you recommend for them? How can they connect and support with you?
I would direct them to our website. That is starkeyhearingfoundation.com or .org. And that's the only way right now. It's the easiest way to actually give back to the foundation. We also have various fundraising options on Facebook that you could.
I sort of say Facebook donate.
Yeah,
that's the
easiest thing right now.
I donate all the time to every. It's wonderful that people are doing that for their birthdays, for special occasions.
Yes.
So you just hit that donate button and type in Starkey Hearing Foundation, and go straight to it.
There's one on my page right now that I started tonight, so you can go there. So that's great. I just am so.
Starkey Hearing Foundation or Jenerosity, Jen?
Well, that's a good question. And I want to share that with you when you have more time, but I put it for Starkey Hearing Foundation tonight, but I am working on building, I want to do like a global giving circle where I have different levels of donations and it's weighted and people get to vote on like what charity they support and highlight charities each quarter. And so I've got
make it easy for them to give back.
Exactly, and give to multiple organizations that, you know, that we know that are doing great work. So, you know, yeah, we're working on our own program down in Columbia and going to do some transformative education, some low-cost courses. But, you know, everything takes time. And I know that it would be really fun to support the organizations that are out working hard if I can highlight them. So anyway, I want to say I'm so grateful to Tani, you and Owen and all of Starkey Hearing Foundation for the work that you're doing around the world and just educating the audience about hearing. And, you know, I've just learned so much for you. There's so much I can say. I just want to say I'm so grateful for you and the work that you're doing and just thank you. Yeah. I think we got to freeze. Do we got to freeze? It froze for me earlier. But I'm just overjoyed right now. I just feel extremely blessed. Are you guys there? Well, all right. Well, it looks like they had signed off, but it was a good time and that was a beautiful interview. Honestly, right now I'm blown away because, you know, I worked with Mrs. Austin and Starkey for 5 years and, you know, now pursuing this next, you know, phase of my life, I just feel extremely blessed and overwhelmed. And Mrs. Austin is just such a great woman. I, you know, ran up to Tani and Bill at an event and said, I want to serve and travel the world. And they gave me the opportunity. And the teams that they've trained around the world, they've given people, like local people in their communities that, you know, are making $2 a day, you know, doing something to actually training them and empowering them to, you know, help people in their communities with hearing healthcare. And I think I could bring her back in.
That's okay.
All right, she's back. Good.
I actually forgot we were in Africa. That's a long connection.
We're lucky that we got through with that, such a great connection, actually. So,
yes, yeah.
I mean, I could talk to you for hours more, and there's so much I want to say. All I can just say is I have so much gratitude and love in my heart for you and for the team and all of your doing the work around the world. There's no one that's doing what Starkey's doing, and so many people need to be aware of what you're doing and just know.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, so I mean, that's all I can say is I love you and I thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up?
Well, you know, I think the main thing is, you know, our message is not just hearing. It's we're bringing peace and understanding to the world by being the example and living life, you know, how we feel is giving back and being that example to the world in our own way. And so, you know, it isn't always just what you're giving, but it's how you receive people, how you talk to them. You know, your whole demeanor is truly the gift that needs to be given in the world. So thanks so much for being interested and in the Starkey Hearing Foundation and one of our true loves and you know, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tani. Have a great day serving 500 patients with hearing loss. I can't wait to see the photos.
Every day's a miracle. Every day's a gift.
All right. Well, please tell Bill I said hi.
I'll do it. He can be on a show. You need him on a show later.
I would love it. I would love it. Let's do it. He
asked me this morning, he goes, well, am I supposed to come? And I said, no, I think you're later.
Well, I'm just honored that he'll do it. So I'm so excited. That's going to be pretty funny, actually. So,
All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye from Kisumu, Kenya.
Bye, Tani. All right. So that was beautiful. I don't know how I'm going to top that, except for now I know that Bill Austin is willing to be on the show. So, you know, Bill and Tani are billionaire philanthropists. They could be doing whatever they want, you know, traveling in the nicest beaches and restaurants, but they choose to be out serving the world every day, and they push their team and themselves and everyone to a higher standard, a higher level to be able to give to the world. And so I am just so incredibly grateful that I had the opportunity to work and serve with them for 5 years. It absolutely changed my life. It started with a calling in 2012. I had just gotten divorced, and I was, just in a transition phase in my life. I had lived in Arizona, and I had never lived anywhere else. And I just got this urge that I wanted to travel and serve the world. And I always like to journal. So I actually wrote, I'm going on a hearing mission around the world, and I'm going to travel and at least to Europe. And 2 months later, I was working with Celebrity Fight Night. Jimmy Walker, another great philanthropist who I hope will be on, he has a nonprofit called Celebrity Fight Night in Phoenix. And so, I was at that event, and so happened to I was working at the event, and Bill and Tani were there, and I found out who they were. And I was like, I wonder if I could work and serve with them. And so I saw them walking by themselves alone, like she had mentioned. And I ran up to them and I said, Mr. and Mrs. Austin. And they turned around and they looked at me, and, they said, you know what? And she gave me her card. And 2 weeks later, I was in Ethiopia serving. So, I just say is, you can, like Tani said, like intention is everything. If you intend to do it and take steps, you're going to get that or something probably better than you could have ever dreamed of. So just, going and walking through that fear, conquering that fear, not letting it hold you back. I think that was one of her great messages, because there's so many people that could be helped and served. And so then we can't play small. So I'm so grateful for the opportunity and today's interview. It was just excellent. And I wish you guys just a happy Thanksgiving. I look forward to bringing on another guest every week. If you have any suggestions or comments for me, I would love to hear it. And all I got to say is, get out and get generous. Have a great night.